So now it's good. I brought a visual aid. Please. As long as you're going to stay.
I'm right here. Okay. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
I'm not going to miss this for anything.
Okay. This last week's parsha, we're on.
We're live.
Okay. Last week's parsha, we had the parsha Shmini. It's actually twice in the Torah. The Torah tells us about all the different things that are kosher and treif, right? Right. So you have there's 4 different classes of animals that are kosher to eat, right? There's behemoths, which includes behemoths v'chayis, right? That's both, right? There's wild animals and what's called behemoths. There's domestic animals. There's cows, sheep, and goat. And then you have wild animals that are kosher. The only one that we the mice eat is deer, but
bison.
Right, bison is domestic.
No, bison is game animal. All game. That makes a difference.
Okay, cool. I mean, the Torah recognized the pashtus as a behemoth. It is a suffix Shulchan Aruch. It's true, very good. Yeah, true. And beefalo is very popular, sold in the stores. Beefalo, you know what beefalo is?
What's beefalo?
Beefalo is a cross of in between a buffalo and a cow. Yeah. And the mila it's very tasty because it has.
It's a different breed. They bred it that way.
It's bred. It's a cross. Yeah, it's crossbreed. And it also has it has it's supposed to be low in cholesterol. I don't know all the things, but there's a lot of shilas about it. That's the shayla that we spoke about. That's there is a one tzad, very very vital tzad that maybe you should need a Messiah for behemoths. It's not the shmooze for today, but anyway, on that side, beefalo would be a problem. And Rosna, the Shevet Halevi that was just nifta, he has a famous tshuva that he says, "Avad and avad, you should eat it." In America, for sure. He says, here in Bnei Brak, because the Chazon Ish might have said maybe, that I'm not going to talk about, but everywhere else, Yochel Navi is well. But anyway, that's giraffe. I thought that myth was already shot down, but my daughter just repeated it in the zoo. Giraffe is a kosher bird, is a kosher animal. There's nothing to talk about. Why is it not sold? The same reason why the guy doesn't eat it. That's it. There's no other reason. What?
It tastes disgusting.
It's probably extremely expensive. It's an exotic animal.
It's very tough.
How do you know? Who tasted it?
That's what they say.
I don't know. It could be. It's definitely not economical to sell. That's the bottom line. But kosher, no question. It's a long neck for cats. You have a long place to shech. It's the easiest place to shech. It's the easiest animal to shech. I mean, it's not. It's a chay. But shechting a chay is not easy. We don't. If you have just a little deer, they're chayes. They're extremely strong and very. I saw a shechting of a deer. The guy has to someone has to sit on it. It's very. They're extremely.
The reason why they're expensive.
Beef, venison. You know about it. Deer meat. The reason is because also.
Probably don't taste good though.
It's very.
It's hard meat.
Venison, I love venison.
You tasted venison?
Yeah.
Okay. I was in the car on the way to shechita of deer. I'll just tell you quickly, and I asked the sheikhit if he ever tasted it. He says, yeah, they gave him a piece. They gave him a piece. He tasted it. He says, we prepared it. We put on all different kinds of sauces and everything, and we finally ate it. He says it wasn't bad, but the truth is, with the amount of sauces and everything we put on, a shmata would have tasted the same. But anyway, okay, I guess he doesn't have.
You have to know how to make
He doesn't have obviously.
He's just tasting, not a chef.
Yeah, that's right. He's not cultured. And it could be. Anyway, so that's the cows and that's the behemoth of achai. Behemoth of achai is one class that's malagir and my first class that we know. Okay, then there's the fish is the fins and scales. Right, the fish, and then there's chagavim, which is also kosher, but also there's 4 meat, and that the Torah is very clear. With the birds, it's very complicated because the Torah doesn't give us klora, simonim. The Torah only gives us what you should not eat, and everything else is kosher. The Torah only gives us 24 birds, and everything else is kosher. That's right, and exactly what. Is it a certain classification? The moral chul and taka, then the treif is supposed to learn out that there's 4 simonim, and that's with the issue of Messiah, etc. That's that whole shmuz. Okay, but what are these birds? A lot of the birds are there's no machlokes. Some of them there's a machlokes about. There's a famous thesis that argues on if Nesher is the igala. It was called the Igala. It was also most Rishonim hold it is the Igala. Tosis has a right that it's not the Igala, but that's the Anyway, I want to just talk about one bird today. I want to talk about the Chasida bird. You know about the Chasida bird? The Chasida is, and Rashi and Chumash brings it down in Old French. I think it's I think everybody, I haven't found any cholkim about what the Chasida bird is. Chasida bird is the stork. You know the stork is? Stork is?
That was the flamingo.
I brought a picture. What?
That was flamingo.
No. It's a stork. This is a stork. This is a stork. For the camera. This is a stork. Now, a stork happens to be a very fascinating bird because it's one of the biggest flight birds. That means there are bigger birds. The biggest bird is the ostrich. Very good. Ostrich is a flightless bird. Ostrich doesn't fly. However, the stork, even though it's humongous, flies. So when they migrate from Europe down to Africa through passing over Eretz Yisrael, Kiyadua, right? It's one of the big things. I did. I went on the next couple of years. You saw it? Yeah. It's one of the big chasadim. You know why? Because what they eat. What do they eat? They eat grasshoppers. They eat animals. They eat grasshoppers. That's when they can eat 50 a day, and it's a big chesed. When they come by, they save the crops. Anyway, the kids. So that's Tam the Eibishter's.
There's another bird also that when they migrate south from North America, they pass by one beach, and that day that they pass by is when the crabs are born and they come out of the sea.
Oh yeah. I'm sure. I just don't know which bird it is. But anyway, that's probably a new world bird. So it's probably not mentioned there. But anyway, so this Chasida is so it's the biggest known flying bird. That's why there's a famous picture of a stork carrying a baby, right? Why? Because you tell a kid who brought the baby a stork, right? But obviously it has to be a bird that's big enough to carry. It has to be the biggest. So it's a stork. That's the stork. Yeah, that's the stork. Now the stork is called the Torah the Chasida. Yeah. So why is it called the Chasida? So it's a Gemara Chul and Rashi brings down Chumash. What?
He brings babies.
What? Because it brings babies, right? But for those that don't believe that, right? Yeah, very good. Yeah, and I did hear somebody want to say that the pshat is the chesed is this chesed
for the grasshoppers
of the grasshoppers, right? But it's that would be very geschmack. But I think it's very forced in the Lashon Gemara because in the Lashon of the Gemara, which Rashi brings down, the Lashon of Rashi is that it's oisa chesed im chavarei sel b'mizonis. So he wanted to say im chavarei sel because there's so many people coming and they're all eating the grasshoppers. I think it's just to go Deichik. I don't know. I hope you guys are masking. I think it's just to go Deichik. But anyway, that's that's Lashon of Rashi. That Chassid is the Oiseh Chesed Im Chavrei Yisrael B'Mezonos. It's Lashon of Lashon Chulun also Samachim Lamral. Yeah, Zudaya Levana. It's called the Daya Levana. That's what it's known. The Gemara says it's called the Daya Levana. Sigalimya. The Lamanikra Shma Chassid. Oiseh Chassid Im Chavrei Yisrael B'Mezonos. So the problem is the Welt asks, everyone asks, it's famous from the Chassidus Sherim, it's famous from a lot of Achronim. I'm not sure. Everybody asks the kasha. The famous kasha is that we know that animals that are not eaten, Ramban explains is because it has achsarius, because they have bad midas, because their influence is not a good influence. And here is a chasida, is a bird that its main characteristic, to the point that that's what it's called for, is that it's oiseh chesed, and
but only chesed to its own kind.
Oh, so very good. So you're saying pashit like the Chedush Harim's teretz. Very nice. So like the Chedush Harim. I'll tell you pshat. Not the pshat is not the pshat is this. It's a very benevolent bird. It's a oiseh chesed im chavrei sel, only b'chavrei sel. My question is.
But according to the other guy's teretz, it does with everybody else, and that's not true.
With what do you mean?
There's oiseh chesed im chavrei sel with everybody else.
Yeah, but I don't like. Hey, you're right. Then it's.
Then the whole Chedush Harim fall away.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. I'm a little bugged by the Chedush Harim's teretz also. I'll tell you why. Because I think what's this bird known for? It's known for doing chesed, or it's known for not doing chesed. Like the Chedush Harim, either it's like the Chedusharim, it's known for doing chesed. If it's known for doing chesed, then it should be a kosher bird. It's a good bird. It's known for not doing chesed, so let's call it the Chavrei Sel. Let's call it the Eina Yisra Chesed. Let's call it the Achzaria. Why are we calling it the Chasida? We're calling it the Chasida. That means this is a benevolent bird. It's known as a benevolent bird. It's a bird that does chesed, not a bird that doesn't do chesed, or a bird that does the wrong kind of chesed. Yeah, that's the. So I want to try to propose a new pshat. And I want to ask a different kasha and say a teretz on that. I think this pshat, you'll tell me if you like it. Okay? There's 24 birds over here. Es hanesha, ves haperes, ves hasnia, ves. Every single one starts ves this. And even when it starts a pasuk, it starts ves this. There's only two birds that are not separated with a ves. Ves hachasida, ha'anaf. So most people don't know. They think ves hachasida ha'anaf is some kind of it's one kind of a bird. It's not. It's two separate birds. There's the chasida bird and there's the anafa bird. It's two separate birds. One the Gemara calls Daya Levana, and one the Gemara says what it's called. It's called the Daya Ragzanis. It's pretty what's called it. It's accepted what it is. It's a heron. A heron is also a big bird. Show it for the camera. Yeah, it's a heron. Yeah, you want to see? Yeah, that's the heron bird. Again, there's a lot of different kinds of herons and a lot of different kinds of chassidas. So, but Akabanim, it's also a very, very big bird. It's also a bird with a very big neck. Scientifically, they say the whole difference between the heron and the chassida is a difference in the heron's head goes back or something when it's flying. But they're very similar birds. To the point that I think that's the pshat in the pasuk. And this is, whether you like my pshat in Chasida, I hope you like my pshat at least in the pasuk. All of them are separated ve'es this. Ve'es ha'chasida, it doesn't say ve'es ha'chasida ve'es ha'anafa, it says ve'es ha'chasida ha'anafa. Why is that? The teretz is that these two birds are so similar that even though they are two minim, but they're like subspecies. They're like cousins. They're very, very closely related. Very good. We'll get to it in a second. One second. Very good. You're already chopping nice the And not only that, but let me just braid it a little better. The Gemara, even when explaining what a chassid is and what an anaf is, the Gemara says one of them is called a daya levana. 2 words, daya levana, a white daya, and the other one is called daya ragzanis. A daya that's mean. That's that, right? That's what the Gemara says, right? So you see that in Lashon of Chazal also they're very similar birds, and it was recognized that they're very similar to the point that I think that's the pshat of the pasuk. The Torah didn't separate it with a ves. The Torah says v'es ha'chasida enough, and they're very, very close. They're closely related. Yeah, I hope you like that pshat in why the ves is missing. So now we could say that maybe, and he's already chapping oister, it's very good. When we say somebody's oister chesed, it's always a relative term. He's oister chesed more than who? Everybody, once in a while, says hello to somebody. What does it mean, oiser chesed? It's always a relative term, right? So normally you assume that when you say a bird is oiser chesed, you assume it's oiser chesed either more than all other animals, or at least more than all other birds. But now we have a new option. Maybe the chasida is just oiser chesed relative to its counterpart, the anafa. And the anafa we know is the daya ragzanis. It's a mean daya. So if the anaf is the mean daya, the chasida is the oiser chesed. It's the one that relative to its counterpart. It's the nice daya. Yeah. That's the pshat I want to. What?
Also. It just means in Chaberel, that's taka ragzanis, but we still call it, to answer your question, still call it chasida because it's relative.
I think we can go without the Kedusha pshat now. And it's true, but we don't need it anymore. Now we say it's oiser chesed. It's oiser chesed. It's not. How could it be a oiser chesed how could it be a trade for bird if it's a oiser chesed? The teretz is that this bird doesn't do tons of chesed, doesn't do the kind of amount of chesed like a cow does, like a kosher animal does, or like even a lot of birds do. It just does much more chesed than the anafa. The anafa, the heron is known to be a very mean, and it is like that. It's known to be a very, very mean, always fighting and loud. So the anafa bird is the mean one. The nicer one is the nicer relative to its counterpart is the chasida.
So you should have called it nicer one relative to its counterpart. Just Chasida makes it sound like it's such a good bird.
Would it be a question if it would be called chasida? It's the nicest bird, but all animals are nicer. Would that bother you?
No.
No. Why? Because it's understood that a bird is named relative to its count to its class, right? Right? So now I'm just saying the same concept, just relative to it's a smaller class. Let's say it would be a smaller class of birds. It is a certain classification. It's big flying birds. I mean, I don't know if Chazal had the flamingo and the what's it called. I don't know, but these are both white and they're big and they're very, very big and they have the long necks that they're very similar. So that's why it's called Isaac Chesed. That's all I want to.
Oh, shit.